You know, it's kind of interesting how today is marking my first video on Satoshi Kon's work on this channel, considering his impact and prestige, as well as the fact that he's probably my second favorite animation director of all time. Second behind, of course, Miyazaki. A man who, despite his short stint as a director, made nothing but masterful work full of gorgeous, symbolic imagery and realistic commentary on society and its overwhelming burdens. All of which started with his debut masterpiece, Perfect Blue, a film that I have absolutely nothing new to say about. This film has been talked about and analyzed to death, and some may even say that it's redundant to even try to make a video on it when all that can be talked about has been talked about. However, my greater goal with this Satoshi Kon series that I'm going to be doing over the next coming weeks is to walk through the masterful work put through these films' productions, the history behind them, and how all of these works tie into Kon's view on society and humanity, something greatly expressed within his short but perfect catalog of animation. I'm not really here to spin a new perspective on things, just to give my greater review and hopefully make a series of reviews that'll come together nicely by the time that it's over. I also find it kind of funny how in my search for a bunch of interviews on Satoshi Kon and Perfect Blue, the guy is kind of nonchalant about everything. Like, he really doesn't think so much of his own work. He doesn't take himself that seriously. Like in one interview that I watched of him, he was like, oh, it's not like we did anything really spectacular or anything. And it's like, dude, you made one of the best psychological thrillers of all time. Hold yourself to a higher standard or something. I don't know, I just kind of wish my idols would be more cocky. I want them to have egos, they've earned it. One thing I've consistently appreciated with Kon's work is his dedicated use of uncanny imagery when it comes to his antagonists and background characters. It is especially persistent in Perfect Blue as it correlates to the message the most, where our pure protagonists are easily the most beautiful and naturally anatomically drawn in the film, while everyone with sinister or mysterious intent is drawn with a much more animalistic or uncanny image in mind. The stalker, Rumi, all have features that make them feel off-putting, even before you are revealed their true nature. Then we have our background characters that have those same tiny-eyed, uncanny facial appearances that surround Mima in the nightmarish hellscape she's put through, making it feel as if the public and audience is preying on her from the inside and out. It elevates the idea of how fame can isolate you from the rest of the world around you, and how difficult it is to trust others when you're stuck to believe that everyone has a hidden, malicious intention with you because of your image. This all feeds into one of the main themes of Perfect Blue, and the root cause of Mima's hallucinations, which is the burden of expectations. Mima is a retired idol trying to break into the acting business, yet is constantly fixated on others' perception of her, what they believe her to be, the image she created of herself that she had been attached to for so long. Rumi, her fans, the stalker, everyone expects her to be that image, and so the further she delves into this new persona of herself, the hungrier that image gets to breaking back out, as she can no longer tell if that image is just an image anymore, or if it's her real, true self. After all, it's the image that everyone thinks of, the one everyone loves, the one everyone expects her to be. Why not become that image? It's the standard that everyone holds her to. Why be yourself if everyone only loves that idea of you, that caricature on stage? You're famous because of it, after all. Do you deserve to get to feel human with that level of influence? Even as she makes decisions to further her career in show business, a lot of it is influenced by her desire to please others. The nightclub scene was a near breaking point, but she did it for everyone else's sake despite her own feelings about it, consistently shelving her true feelings for the sake of what's expected of her, and thus creating more and more of a detachment from herself and a connection to that image once more. She begins to contemplate if being Mima the person is really worth it, if Mima the idol is the only idea that people will be accepting of. Perfect Blue is all about that growing distance between your true self and that exterior that people see you as. But Perfect Blue at its core is not a story of exposing the idol industry or the Japanese entertainment business. Satoshi Kon never once intended for it to be that way. He says it himself in an interview back during the production of Millennium Actress here. No, the film is not based based on any criticism. If the audience get the impression from watching the film that the idol system in Japan is like that, then I'm embarrassed. Of course, I did research before making the film and I visited a number of these idol events, but I didn't see the kind of example that is used in the film. Also, to reveal behind the scenes secrets about the entertainment world was never my intention. I simply wanted to show the process of a young girl maturing, becoming confused because her old set of values gets shattered, but who is reborn as a mature being as a result of that. That's what I wanted to describe, but because I had to stick with the idea of an idol, the film came to talk about that particular world. The whole point of Perfect Blue is a much more interpersonal and psychological tale than it is broad and critical. That had always been the story Satoshi Kon was trying to tell with the film. And for those wondering, the reason he speaks about having to stick with the idea of an idol is due to the fact that Perfect Blue is based on a novel by the same name, which Kon was only approached to direct after it had failed to be adapted into live action multiple times. The actual source material and the film are very different, as Kon admittedly never read the original novel before working on the film, and was told that he could make any changes he wants so long as he keeps a couple things in the story, such as Mima being an idol turned actress. It's another reason why Uchida, the stalker, only ended up being a secondary antagonist despite his build-up throughout the film, because Kon also didn't have much interest in this character from the beginning, and preferred to tell a more deeply rooted story with the Rumi twist at the end, and the frequent use of subjective and unreliable narration from Mima's perspective. It creates the tale of detachment and derealization that Kon has become familiarly identified with thanks to films like these, because his philosophy as a storyteller lies within that use of unreliable narration, dreamlike perspectives mixing into the real world, and the uncanniness of human society. In a way, Perfect Blue can be described as a coming-of-age film at its core, just one with a lot more psycho horror thrown into the mix. Perfect Blue emphasizes the tragedy and wonders of society and how our human community takes a toll on the human psyche. How concepts such as fame, expectations, and other things specific to humanity and human society can bring out the best and worst of us. How our limited connection with one another in the spiritual sense can create detachment and isolation. How that detachment can grow into ourselves, and in Perfect Blue's case, how those things can cause us to objectify ourselves and the people around us, treating us and each other like concepts rather than people, derealized and disassociated, being nothing but a hollow exterior, a mask we wear that lasts for so long we begin to forget who we really are. These things can be elevated by the clever way in which the film is written, brilliantly utilizing the TV drama that Mima has been cast in to explain most of the exposition through juxtaposing the events of the show with the events in the real world, such as the first monologue about the TV show serial killer, and how said killer uses the skin of his victims to quote-unquote become a woman, much akin to Rumi's desire to become Mima, as well as the warnings of illusions never becoming reality, and Mima's final scene revealing her character's multiple personality disorder, creating the misdirection that something could be causing a rift in her own mind, and the realities may truly be flipped, only to later be revealed as a parallel to Rumi's true nature, as the TV drama that Mima is a part of is truly the story of Rumi, and if you interpret it in such a way, creates a much more introspective and disturbing background for Rumi as a character. This interpretation only adds on to her being one of the most fascinating antagonists I've seen in an animated feature, because even with the film's ambiguity, you can interpret so many things, and no matter what it is, it only adds more and more layers to the depths of the film's storytelling. This film is a brilliant case study of human suppression, the fear of disassociation caused by the mask we put on ourselves, and the burdens that fame and attention can bring. At its core, Perfect Blue is an introspective, artistically intuitive character study of how a woman pushed into the rushed depths of maturity comes to terms with herself growing out of the comforts of her past life and into the uncanny and often uncomfortable hurdles of adulthood and maturity. It's why I call it a coming-of-age tale, because Mima's true goal in the narrative is to overcome these obstacles as an actress to find her place in the world as an adult without the need or concern for the people who expect specific things from her that she had already grown out of. It's one of my favorite psychological thrillers of all time, with some unique and disturbing imagery and a much less forgiving study on society and the human mind, parasocial relationships, and the cruelties of obsession and fandom. For a debut feature, Satoshi Kon made a mark that few have ever managed to achieve similar heights to, and I can't stress enough how perfectly put together this film is. With that being said, don't immediately get your expectations set up for where this film is going to rank in my Satoshi Kon list, because I'm telling you right now, you might be surprised. But with all that being said, this is going to wrap up my Perfect Blue video, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below your favorite Satoshi Kon movie, as I'm going to be covering his full catalog on this channel over the coming weeks. Next week we're going to cover Millennium Actress, so stay tuned for that. That's just about everything I have to talk about today, so with all that being said, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.